A journey of 1,000 miles begin with a single step. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today revolves around Sri Lanka's current political landscape. Joining us this evening on the show as guests are Deputy Minister Chathuranga Abeysinghe, representing the National People's Power; Lihini Fernando, representing the SJB; Kesarralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament, as well as Nadeesha Silva, Dinana, Dakuna, Civic Rights Movement. To pose questions from our panel this evening, on to my immediate right is Charlotte Benedict, on to my immediate left is Fernando. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. You can send in your messages via WhatsApp. The number is 076-656-5353. The number once again, 076-656-5353. So let's get the ball rolling today with Deputy Minister Chathuranga Abeysinghe, representing the National People's Power. Chathuranga, give us some context with regard to Sri Lanka's current political landscape that we are facing right now and the position of your party in governance.
So, Shami, thank you for the opportunity. I think we are keeping the promise of every 2 months I'll be here. But so again,
thank you for that, Chathuranga. Thank you for that.
So I think from a political landscape, I think the three elections which came after one another, that's over. I think it's again a relief for people also. It was even as politically, it was a huge pressure for us. And you know, there was a lot of work that needs to be done whilst we are managing the government. I think that piece is over, so now we have a clear mandate to govern the country for the next 4 years, 4 years plus few months. And from a change perspective, people had few expectations during Aragalaya and lead up to the presidential election. So they people wanted change in the political culture. I think that's very much present, and people can see it, people can feel it, people will appreciate it. And people wanted a corruption-free country. So I think from September 21st, a politically driven corruption has not happened, and we will vouch for it. And but there are certain allegations that's coming on certain institutions, which the institutions which are supposed to investigate are doing a very good job, because initially we know that Siabok was the institution which you could kind of complain about allegation or a corruption, but that was not resourced enough. Certain issues were there. Now we have fixed it. It's running like a machine now. Every week there's about 4 to 5 people get charged. And on the other side, the expectation was to have a reasonable economic stability and a growth. So we used these 6 months probably to ensure the stability, because there was a huge expectation from the opposition, and even from the people who voted us had certain doubts whether this government is capable of handling the economy or being able to stabilize. So I think that has worked. So there was a lot of effort put by the Ministry of Finance, the officials and the President, that the economic stability has been achieved, and it's quite a good, clear indicator. And now we have moved to the growth phase as well. When I say stability, getting the IMF green light and getting the debt restructuring done, the inflation, the interest rate, that's been kind of quite positive for the economy.
Right. So Chathuranga, just to break down the elements that you spoke about the elections, you spoke about fighting corruption, and then you spoke about the country's economy as well. So I want to break down these three elements and then pose questions to you individually on these areas. Let's talk about elections. Presidential election, it was a tight run. We went for a second round of voting as well, where we had to see as to who has got a majority. However, at the parliamentary election, you all were able to get a resounding majority. It was 159, which was the highest ever polled at a parliamentary election in Sri Lanka. Then came the local government elections, and the numbers really dwindled as far as your party is concerned. If you look at the numbers itself, there was a reduction of approximately around 2 million voters who really voted for you, and that voter percentage had been split for the SJB and other political parties as well.
Not exactly.
Yeah, but I just want to understand. So What is the reason behind this drop of votes for the NPP? Is that because people are disgruntled the way in which how things are panning out to be?
No, Shamir, there are three reasons. One, I mean, first one is basically it's a local election which is not significant in making a change. So our election of presidential and general election was very much active, sheer fight among 2 or 3 teams. Everybody is looking at news, who's going to win, will Sajit win, will Ranil win, will Anura win, and then even at the general election there was a lot of competition and excitement. So we had huge support of the floating vote. Which people, not only the professionals but everybody who wanted to make a change, they went and voted. But that same level of enthusiasm was not there for the local election for various reasons. One is the local election is generally to do with your locality, and generally the voter percentage is low. And I think the bulk that who did not came probably would have voted for us in the general election. The second one is, I think, in terms of getting a clear mandate for locality, the structures are different. Now, when you say every locality, there is an individual who's running. So it depends on that individual. People will not look at Dinana or Chathuranga Abeysinghe when they go to vote at court. They would also consider the person who's in that area. So that area-based vote is what got increased to SLPP and SJB. But apart from that, from our side, I think we had a failure in communication. We had a drop in our engagement levels that also would have resulted to us not being able to convince people why you should go and vote for NPP.
Right. So you spoke about failure in communication as well as lack of engagement. Before I move on to the economic side of things, Chathuranga, recently I saw a video that was making the rounds on social media, especially on YouTube, with regard to an interview that you had given. You say that this time around for the local government elections, from your electorate that you represent, drugs were distributed by other political parties in order to gain momentum, and that was not seen at the last presidential or the general election. So I'm trying to figure out, now you all are talking about fighting corruption. Don't you think if you have made an allegation of that sort, an investigation needs to be carried out immediately as to who distributed drugs and bring those responsible to book? Because at the end of the day, that is not something that the people condone or will accept.
So Shamir, I think when I said about the election campaign early, nobody in SJB, SLPP or other parties worked on the ground. Now there's not a campaign on the ground. Now this time there was a campaign, a political campaign. When we say generally Sri Lankan political campaign, it's about distributing things. So I think on the drugs piece, which was very clear in Arunodaya Mawatha, Abeysinghe and Bandaranaikapura, we had enough complaints from our party members.
So if you know who are responsible, why don't you give the names out to...
I can't give names. They have made complaints to the police, and
they've already made complaints?
Yeah. Election, I have the letter which we shared 2 days before the election to the police in Valikada, saying these things, we are seeing these things, please put more effort, more security on the election day.
And what did they do?
So I think on the election day there was not much violence, but coming to that, now when you say drugs piece...
This is what you said, Chathuranga. I'm
just
repeating what you said.
No, I am saying when we talk about drug situation on the country, we all need to understand what is on the ground. So there are people who take drugs, right? In Kotte there is about a 10 to 15% in certain areas people take drugs. And there are people who distribute drugs also. It's a menace down there, right? So in terms of election campaign, what these kids want is certain amount of money and certain amount of distribution. So we had enough complaints from the ground that has happened. That is what I mentioned, but that is not the reason that our votes came down. But this is the level of campaigning. They gave goods, food distribution.
So who was this? Is it the SJB or is it the What political party are you pointing the finger
This
at?
is basically the, what do you call that, Putua.
SLFP.
SLFP.
Yeah.
SLFP.
So that is where the complaints are coming through.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is that these were on the ground as a very strong, traditional campaign of, winning people over various things. So when I'm using examples, I've used it because I had knowledge that things happened in.
Right, so we will talk about all this. I just want to break it down. So we'll keep that aside. But when the Q&A starts, I'll probably pose more questions on this later on. Then on the country's economy. Now, last year, the growth rate was 5.5%. 5%. Yeah. However, now the projected growth has come down to 3.5%. Why is that? If you are doing so well in terms of the country's economy, why are the numbers dwindling?
So I think this is a projection shared by the World Bank or IMF, I think.
World Bank.
So so central bank has still not given a projection for this year. Now the report is coming to the parliament on the first quarter. All the indicators that we are watching is moving up. Private credit is growing. Government expenditure on capital investment is going to the ground. Exports are increasing. Tourism is booming. There is no reason to think 2025 is going to be worse than 2024, right? Everything is in the right trajectory. So in our view, we will hit the 5% growth because World Bank's projection based on historical data, certain level of analysis, it comes through a model, right? But what's on the ground is different. Now, for example, let's take what was World Bank and IMF projection for 2024, 2023. We all beat it. We beaten that DS. So we are very clear that we are going upward.
That's because of Ranil Wickremesinghe's administration. That's because of Ranil Wickremesinghe's
administration. No, the thing is, Shamir, we stabilized, due credit, economy was stabilized.
By Ranil Wickremesinghe?
Yeah, Ranil Wickremesinghe's regime. And the officials of the central bank, officials of the finance ministry, right? Together with the IMF program, there was stability. So we were coming out of a negative. When you come out of a negative, your growth rates are generally high. But if you really look at the projection of the DSA, which was the IMF agreement we went to, Ranil Wickremesinghe went into, there was a minus for the first year and a positive for the next year, which is 2024, 1.3, and then there was a 3.5 flat rate up to 2029. So even now the projection is at 3.5. So we are very confident that we will beat that. So how do we say it? Because the things that we are doing now is generating entrepreneurship, generating exports, generating taxes, and consumption is very high. If you take the private credit, so one of the indicators that you can see where the economy is moving is the growth of the private credit. So it's growing. And I think with those indicators, we are very confident we will be beyond 3.5% for sure this year.
Right. So the last question in the first round to you, Chathuranga, is what's happening with the NPP-JVP relationship within the party ranks? There is rumors or stories on the grapevine that says that by July there is going to be a cabinet reshuffle, and that Harini Amarasuriya is going to lose her post as Prime Minister. All this is on the grapevine, but because today's show is about the current state of affairs in terms of politics, I'm asking you this question.
So,
yes.
I think let's go back to 2 years on this show, this table. So similar rumors were spread by SJB. I can directly say who did it, SJB. SJB shared these rumors in Colombo, dinner dances and dinner parties and all that, saying, NPP is this, JVP is this, when they come in, this is what's going to happen, Chathuranga will be taken out, Harini will be taken out, only the JVP will rule the world. That is what they create. So now they don't have news. The economy is doing well, corruption is getting curtailed, the system is moving very smoothly, huge level of support from ADB, World Bank. Today we got the largest delegation of China, the two Chinese chambers private and public chambers came down to Sri Lanka today. So these things are happening. So what would you create as news is these things. So I have to clearly say there is nothing of such that we know we being in the party, and we are very...
So there is no cabinet reshuffle, because this was also indicated somewhat by Bimal Ratnayake.
No, I think cabinet reshuffle, I am not privy to that information what Bimal said, but you are quoting. But if there is a need to change someone, we will take that decision.
Who will be changed?
I don't know. If there is a requirement, if some ministry is not performing, it's even for me, if I am not performing, party will talk to me and say, Chathuranga, your deputy ministry role is not happening. The industries are not happy. They are all coming to the president, they are not coming to you, so obviously you are not doing a job or something like that. Then if they say that you need to step down and somebody will take, it's not a big problem for us.
Might, in other words, what you're trying to say is, it might even be Prime Minister Harini Amarasuri who will be removed.
For sure, that is not going to happen.
Right, okay.
Because Harini Amarasuri is a topic that SJB brought in from 2019,
right.
when we appointed her as a candidate from the national list. We groom her up to this position. It's when they don't have strategy, Shamir, they are trying to see how they can dismantle our strategy. Our strategy is very clear. We have a very strong position, equally strong Prime Minister who can handle both these aspects in a very different capabilities and passions. They are driving this, and there is no reason. So you are saying
2 months from now, when you come on the show again, it's going to be Harini Amarasuri as the Prime Minister of the country.
Yes, for these 5 years.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Chathuranga Abeysinghe. I now move my attention to Attorney at Law Lihini Fernando from the SJB. Lihini, sigh. What's happening with the SJB? Is there a party already, or is the party dismantled or defunct? Or I'm trying to understand what's going on with the party. People are going and people are coming back. You all are going to people's houses to ask them to rejoin the party. Is there a strong SJB to be a competitive force for the NPP in the next few months, next few years?
First and foremost, thank you for having me on the show. I think you posed this question to me many a times that I've been on the show.
And every time you come on the show, there is...
Visually hoping that SJB would break up, but still we are surviving.
And every time you come on the show, there is a problem, Lihini.
That's what you all want? I don't know. So anyway, either way, see, it's like this. In politics, this is common. Politics, not every political party has an up circle. There's an up circle, there's a down circle. But SJB, from the time that we formed, Sajid Premadasa has been holding fort. I mean, so these are normal things in politics. But you see organizers resigning, but the same organizers, Bandulal Veregoda has come back, Ranjit Aluvihari has come back. So these are, why is this happening? Because local government elections, when the candidates who were to be selected, there was a certain criteria that the party put out, which I think is very fair. Because in politics, Shamir, you cannot satisfy everybody. There will be people who are satisfied, there will be people who are dissatisfied. So the party rightfully put down a certain set of criteria where, people who have lost, but with the highest percentages, the best losers must be taken in, which I think is quite fair from the leadership's point of view, because there needs to be some criteria to accommodate. So then there were the MPs, there were organizers who were not satisfied with it, and then yes, they expressed their displeasure. But people who went back also have come back, resigned. They have not resigned from the party. It's just that they expressed their displeasure. So I think the party to this date, we are the opposition, biggest opposition. If you take the local government elections, the results, it is clearly evident that everywhere the opposition, majority of the states, the NPP cannot form because they have not obtained the majority. Even if you take Colombo. So SJB, and if you take the government, they have lost about 2 million votes within the last 7 months. So I would say SJB as a party, the right-wing party, is holding fort, and Sajid Premadasa is giving leadership.
Right. So Lihini, you said that many individuals were leaving and many individuals were rejoining. I want to take your attention to the Bandarabila organizer, Chamin Vijayasiri, who resigned from his post, and he made some startling revelations about dynasties and how individuals are trying to hold on to power within the SJB as well. And he said that he has lost his electorate many a times. As a result of that, he does not want to hold the post of organizer of the Bandarara district. Now this sends a strong signal to the SJB as well, don't you think? And who is he pointing the finger at? Is it Sajib Premadasa that he's pointing the finger at?
So it's like this, he's also again another dissatisfied, disgruntled organizer who probably also put down his terms and conditions and who was not accommodated. So I mean, this is his way of getting back at the party, going all out there and making certain statements. Now, I want to say this, SJB has been a very democratic party where, you know, we have not put down any conditions or anything to the organizers, say, don't come in front of the media, which I think, you know, the party must come up with some certain regulations on what you can say and what you cannot say. You know, he's one of the disgruntled organizers, but I'm sure he will also, after discussions, he will also come back. So there is no such thing as what you mentioned. The party has a structure, the party has a working committee, there is a general secretary, there is a treasurer, there is a working committee, so there is a structure that the party operates.
When you look at the party, there are a lot of people who are disgruntled. Now take a look at S.M. Marika recently addressing a media briefing, said that when he was questioned about who is going to be the mayor of Colombo on the 2nd of June, he said, go and ask Mujibur Rahman. What is this?
So
why are they even coming in front of the media if they don't want to mention who the person is? And the other fact is to tarnish the image of the party itself.
See, it's like this now. Colombo, mainly the campaign was led by Mr. Mujibur Rahman, Colombo Central, where he...
so S.M. Marika was not involved?
No, S.M. Marika was also involved.
But he said he was not involved.
He was involved at a campaigning level.
No, but he said he was not involved.
But the thing is, the discussion with them...
Did you watch the press conference?
I didn't watch that.
So he said very clearly that he was not involved. All the organizing was done by Mujibur Rahman.
But then there is no such, I mean, at the party, decisions are made collectively. I mean, we are a very democratic party. So
Alright, so if it's done collectively, tell me who the mayoral candidate is?
I'm not privy to that because we have not finalized anything as such at the moment. So still
so
discussions
it's not a collective decision at
all.
all?
No, it will be discussed within the party and they will come back with the final decision.
Where is the democracy of the party? If
there is always, I mean, no, everything should not be spoken out. Let's see, I mean, there's more time. Everything is open until the day we go to the council and until you take that vote. So, you know, you should not...
How confident are you?
We are confident. We've always held Colombo. We will always hold Colombo.
Yeah, but your mayoral candidate, according to Anukumar Disanayake at the JP rally, lost to a little... a small woman in his electorate.
See, it's like this. Sri Lankan politics are rhetoric trends. People go vote. I mean, you know, you take the government, only 54% has polled. So Anukumar Disanayake has lost 2 million of his votes. So I mean, he comes back and says as if he's achieved a major victory. Even in Colombo, they just have 49 seats. They don't even have the majority. Opposition everywhere. Collectively is higher. So I mean, these are again campaign stages. You people make statements, but if you collectively look at the sentiment of the people in this country, they have expressed their clear displeasure over the government. So that itself is an indication.
But you all don't have a mayoral candidate yet.
No, we had a mayoral candidate. We had Mr. Hanifa, but there has been discussions. He might come in back again.
He might come again.
I cannot comment at this point because there are discussions, as I said.
So he might come again. So a losing candidate again coming into...
No, so it's like this. No, in local government, there are certain criteria that the party has put down. So if he fulfills that criteria, the party will make a decision. It's up to... Again, nothing is finalized as yet. There is more time. Let's see.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Attorney at Lihini Fernando from the SJB. I know now move my attention towards Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament. Mr. Gunasekara, when you look at all this that's happening right now, I dub it as a play. It's worse than a Shakespeare's play because when you look at what's happening in terms of Sri Lanka's current political affairs, everyone is fighting, everyone has issues, and everyone is being put to the ledge to decide as to what they should do. In your opinion, you've been in politics for a very long time. How do you view the developments that are taking place in the current political sphere in Sri Lanka at this very moment of time?
Shavi, can I add something to what the Deputy Minister said with regard to this election as to where the percentage of votes they got? I think it is wrong to assume that they have come down, their votes have come down, because the percentage, if you analyze the percentages, presidential election it was 79.46 and in the local authority elections it was 61.80 or 88, almost 19% drop. So you can't expect the 5740 to be there. In fact, they have got more comparatively. They have got 4.5 million, whereas as per the percentage they should have ended up with 4.4. That is very clear, because you know why? When the SLPP managed to romp home at the last local authority elections, they managed to procure only 3,400 members. They got 3,900 members. Very simple. Simple logic. They have won the election. For heaven's sake, accept that.
So now there is a tug of war as to who should be the mayoral candidate of Colombo, because based on the local government act and the council act, it's very clear those individuals who poll more than 50% at the 50% at the council vote gets to secure the post of mayor. Do you think that's a justifiable ask as far as the SJB is concerned, because they are trying to formulate together with the UNP right now to secure the post of mayor?
I think what all parties need to understand is local governance is totally different. There is no opposition in government. It's run by committees. There is no opposition in government. What rubbish? It's all committees that run the local authorities. Whichever local authority procures the highest number of votes, that party must be afforded the mayorship or the chairmanship.
So who is it? Are you saying it should be the NPP?
Yeah. Because they have procured 48 or 49 seats.
49.
Very simple.
They should be given the opportunity to govern.
It's wrong, no? As I told you, there is no opposition in government in local authorities. It is the committees who decide.
But collectively, the opposition has got 72.
No, that's not the issue. What I'm trying to tell you is, it is governed by committees. Local authorities are governed by committees. Even the budget is prepared by committees.
No, but then it's put to a vote, no?
No, I'm trying to tell you, if by chance you decide on a budget, it comes to the vote. Who has decided? The members, no?
So why do you even have an election if that's the case?
No, the question is, how do you vote against the budget?
No, but why would you even have an election if it's so trivial for political parties? Why would you even have an election?
That is because the law says that. But in reality, it is governed by committees.
Right. So,
so I hope I have corrected the question, because
so Mr. Gunasekara,
very clear.
Yeah. So Mr. Gunasekara, you were with the SLFP, right?
Yeah, UPFA,
but the symbol of the chair at one point. You were with Mrs. Bandaranaike as well, no?
Bulat Kole
at that time, right? So for me to understand a little bit more about the allegation that was leveled by Chathuranga Abeysinghe on this drugs being distributed by those involved with the symbol of the chair, do you have any idea?
No, I don't know. It's not correct for me to comment. It's not correct.
You don't know, or you don't know.
I am a member of the party.
No, you know, or you don't want to say?
No, I don't know anything.
You don't know anything.
I don't know.
Because tomorrow you will be questioned. Anyway, Mr. Gunasekara, just to understand again what your position is with regard to the current cost of living in the country. You have always been a staunch supporter of the NPP. You come on the show many times and said that they have to be given an opportunity to govern.
Of course.
But if you go to check the vegetable prices now, that doesn't reflect the cost of living at all.
Cost of living is high.
Kilo of carrots are going at 1,400.
Cost of living is high, but the only thing is it's a cycle. It goes up, comes down, it goes up, comes down. That is always there. But I still feel the NPP needs to understand, two-thirds majority, the people are given him. They never requested, in fairness I must say, they never ever requested two-thirds majority in parliament, which they themselves did not expect at all, but the people gave. Go on the basis that you got a simple majority. go on the basis that you've got a simple majority. Far more better and far more effective to get things done if you go on the basis of a simple majority. It's easy because then in that case, you have to get into a dialogue with the opposition and come to terms as to what is right, what is good and what is bad. That is very essential. So far, they have been pushing on those lines.
So, at political fora, Andrakumar Dissanayake said that the electricity bill will be reduced by 33%. Now again, it's going to go up by 18% in June. That's okay with you as well? That was not promised?
You have to go by what is right, no?
So what you say in political fora is not what stands on the ground?
No, the ground reality is totally different.
Statement, the 30% reduction, 33%, that is a 1/3 energy reduction, is in our policy book also. That will take us a few years to get there. It is not an immediate thing that we say.
They are working on a program. They may be slow, but I'm still willing to give them time.
Right.
I still feel you must support them.
Thanks
Everybody needs to support, including all media agencies as well.
Right. Thanks a lot, Mr. Kesarralal, Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament. I now move my attention towards Nadeesha Silva, civic rights organization, which is dubbed as Dinana Dakuna. Nadeesha, because you're coming on the show for the very second time and I was not there, for us to get some context as to what the Dinana Dakuna is. Are you all a leftist organization? Are you all a rightist organization? Are you all a liberal organization, neoliberal? What exactly are you all?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for the show. Clearly, we are a right-wing organization.
Right-wing organization.
Yes, this is what we are standing. Okay, so we are not a political party. We have no idea of forming a political party as well. When you see the current scenario of the country, we are making a platform for the right-wing mindset, right-wing minded people to gathering, to step foot in, right? According to the current scenario, as Chathuranga said, and also what Kesarralal told about the election results and all, I'll start with that, okay? Now this election, the LG election, I find it as an election where no one won. Nobody won. If you say that NPP won, no, they didn't. So they got only 43%. Let's think about the rejection. All the parties have been rejected by the public. The citizens have rejected all of you guys. 57% of the voters have rejected NPP. 78% of the voters have rejected SJP. 95% of voters have rejected United National Party. All were rejected. And you said, Chathuranga, the floating voters voted you. I will call them not floating voters. Who took you to power, who gave you 2/3 majority and who brought Andrakumar Dissanayake as the president, that is the virtual technocratic middle class of the country. I'll repeat, the virtual technocratic middle class of the country. They brought you in. They gave you the 2/3 majority. Now what has happened? You lost it. Now you have become 43%. You can't say that it's not a loss. Mr. Kesarralal, I might say that your mathematics is a bit wrong there, right?
My mathematics is not wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong, right? Because you got that 43% out of the percentage which voted, not from 100%.
Correct.
Right?
It is always the case.
If it is 61% who voted, you got 43% out of that 61%. Previously, you got that from the 79% who voted you. Okay? So it's a proper loss. You have lost the trust of the people whom voted you.
Within 7 months.
Within 7 months.
And you think general election
we'll come back to
is equal to local election?
No, that's a different story.
No, we
We
come
can
back
have
to
that
that.
discussion.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's a different story. This is a proper loss because this is the frustration of the people. People expected something, right? And with NPP, that is the story. And in the other side, now the so-called right-wing parties, again I call them so-called right-wing parties, SJB and UNP, we represent the right-wing. We represent right-wing and liberal economy, right? So these two parties together, now opposition, now we are talking about the opposition's power. Opposition has been, when you all add them together, all the elements of the opposition, when you add them together, we are saying, okay, they have gained something. No, they have not. It's not a victory. Victory is yours, but it's not a victory, right? So
you're saying it's a victory, then you're saying it's not a victory, then you're saying
victory can be defined, right?
Yeah,
no. That is.
And then you say no one has won the election. I'm trying to figure out. There are 8,000 plus seats in the local council, and majority has been secured by the.
No, Shamir, victories are relative. You have to always look at the context.
No, because usually what happens is, Nadeesha, this civic rights organization confuses everyone.
It is not a civic rights organization. It is a civic movement.
Civic movement. Civic movement. Yeah, civic movement.
No. We are focusing on power.
Yeah, I know.
We are focusing on power.
You are focusing on power.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So when you say you are not a political party and then you are saying you are focusing on power, what does that mean?
See, civic movement can be a force which is focusing on power as well.
Okay.
Right?
Focusing on which kind of power? Political power?
Political power, nothing else.
So who are you aligned to? Aligned with?
We are not aligned to anything. We are not aligned with any political party. We believe in ideologies. Now that is another thing that I am going to talk about. Now SJB and UNP, the right-wing parties, and we have in the other side, NPP and JVP. You may say it's NPP, I always call it NPP and JVP. Two separate elements with totally different, completely different characteristics.
No, you're entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Now see, if you take JVP, they have an ideology. That is the core of NPP which we are seeing. The ideology of JVP. Chathuranga Abeysinghe can't stand in NPP if you are saying that you don't accept the ideology of JVP. Even if you like it or not, that's you. That's what you have to say. So ideology of JVP...
You were saying something about SJB and UNP.
Yeah, that's what I mean. JVP's ideology is there. So do we see an opposition to your party from the right wing take SJB and UNP together? Do they have ideology to contest against JVP? No, they don't have. Okay. And which brought NPP into power was the narrative of the NPP, not JVP. They don't have a narrative. NPP developed the narrative, and that narration which came out of the narrative brought you guys into power.
What's this narrative?
Except us, all others are spoiled, they are corrupted. Right? Isn't it? We are the clean people. Every single politician is corrupted. Every single politician is spoiled. So that is the narration.
Right.
Now even how many...
We will get back here, Nadeesha, as we go along. I'll give you ample opportunity to talk all about what you have in mind. So to pose questions, I have Shalan, I have Theruni as well. But with your permission, I have one question for Mr. Gunasekara. Mr. Gunasekara, you say a lot of good things about...
I thought you finished with him.
No, I'm coming to you now.
Okay.
Don't worry. You can hold your fort until I ask you the question.
There's no strategy. There's no strategy.
So, Mr. Gunasekara, you are a very staunch supporter of the NPP, as I said before.
I call him a foster father of NPP.
Right.
I am a supporter of the government.
Right. Any government that comes into play.
NPP government, yes.
Yeah, okay, right. Just to understand, now there is a lot of talk about the Auditor General's appointment that had went to the Constitutional Council, that was rejected. He seems to be a close associate of the President, Anukumar Dissanayake. This was told by Harsh de Silva in Parliament as well. If there is conflict of interest, there is a heavy price to pay, 7 years of imprisonment. This was mentioned by him in Parliament as well. Is this why we appointed, or the people appointed the NPP to power? To appoint your close associates to positions?
You mean to say he has appointed?
No, he has not been appointed yet, but there are discussions to appoint him as the Auditor General right now.
So wait and see as to what the final outcome is going to be.
Yeah, but this envelope has been pushed so much by the President to appoint him as
Who
the
has
Auditor
seen
General.
this? Who has seen this?
This
envelope being pushed?
No, envelope being pushed in the sense the agenda has been pushed forward. Where this is
Who's
the second
saying
time.
this?
This is the second time that his name has been proposed to the Constitutional Council as well.
Second time?
Yeah.
First time it
his
was
name was
rejected.
rejected. Second time also it was rejected.
Second time was rejected. So then in that case, that is rejected.
You're not aware of that.
No, that is not. That is rejected. If the second time was it's rejected.
So
But why?
why is he being pushed so much?
What do you mean? Why is he being pushed?
Is it because he's a friend of the government? Is that why?
President has a discretion to nominate. That's the law.
Yeah, but twice there is conflict of interest there, Chathuranga.
Right.
So when there is conflict of interest in a certain position, that is the very reason the narrative that Nadeesha spoke about. You all have come into power to put a stop for all this. There has to be proper systems in place.
Yeah.
Individuals who are appointed has to be individuals who have a clean record.
Yes.
So when there is conflict of
So
interest
that conflict
in terms
of
of the Auditor
interest is a
General's-
definition.
Yeah, but
Samir, now I
when
know
that
you
is
for a
the-
long time now, coming here.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we are getting a point. We are recommending you to some position. Is there a conflict of interest?
Of course, there's a conflict of interest because you
So
know
then
me very well.
I should.
and
So
as a
how
result
the-
of that,
So that's the
It's a
judgment the
issue.
council has.
so they have rejected.
Why appoint? And also,
by
he was the
keep on
director of the
pushing it.
Petroleum Corporation as well. Your nominee.
Yeah, so
then,
why
you
is
know,
it being Isn't this why you all have been appointed to government to put a stop to all this?
Change the system.
There's a system, no?
No, but why nominate in the first place? That's why.
Yeah, I think that's a question.
Now you said,
If
for
you are
an
talking
example,
about
in your opening remarks, Chathuranga, you said that credit has to be given to individuals in the treasury, credit has to be given to those in the central bank. But if you look at the speeches that were made prior to the elections by members of your political party, it's very clear that they point a finger directly at the governor of the central bank as well as the treasury secretary, and there were statements that to say that they have to be removed once you all come into power, but that didn't happen either.
Salt Corporation chairman is also the owner of a private salt company.
No, no,
Presidential
this is
advisor
fake, yeah.
Duminda Hulangamoa is also is the partner of ENY. I mean, these were all spoken in Parliament, and so there's many conflict of interest.
No, Chathuranga, we expect an answer. from
I think conflict of interest is, I mean, we are coming out of a system which was a clearly issue with conflict of interest where you appointed
No, that's
people.
true. No, that's true.
Right?
There's
So
no question about
in the
that. That is why
sense-
you all have got 159 members
Yes,
in
Shamir.
Parliament.
So we are appointing people. Who we trust and who have the capability. There is no structure to it in that sense, right?
No,
so
there is a structure. Auditor General, there's a seniority. Auditor General's department based on the
So
seniority
Auditor General thing I can't comment here because I don't know enough details about it. But what we are trying to do is we have appointed people who are capable of doing the role. So if they are breaching the role, yes, let's have a discussion, right? Because otherwise, how do you, I mean, all these are now based on the Sri Lankan structure, it's obviously either the minister or the president nominates. So then you can always find some link to that president or the minister, how he got to know and all that, because there is no process of, getting CVs and doing interviews and all those things.
Can I add? So no, you all came to power saying that your system will be transparent.
Yeah.
So when the president goes and nominates somebody out of the system, so Auditor General, the next in line, there's a seniority. Now, for example, if you take the Attorney General's department, if you are appointing, there is a structure, there is a mechanism. You respect the people's knowledge. Now, President, in this instance, he has brought in an individual who is from the Kelaniya University, and who is also close to the president. Now here, Auditor General's department, there is a role, the auditing function has to be out of any links, you know, it's a very transparent, it should be an independent role. So when a president appoints somebody of that nature, and also he was a former director of the Petroleum Corporation and he has not disclosed that, and this is an organization that has to be audited in a very independent manner. So this is what we are questioning.
Balance, no, that is why a commission.
No, so president in the first place shouldn't have appointed, shouldn't have nominated.
I think it's a view, right? So you have a view, you have a view.
No, what I'm saying is when you on campaign stages, when you campaign and say that you are going to put a proper system in place, and when you do actions of this nature, people go and question whatever you say and whether you walk the talk.
I think this is very good for the audience also. Now we have a party who don't promise such things, who never promise such things, and who's not in power. And you have a party who is willing to do it, and certain things, there are questions which we can correct ourselves and go forward about it. Right? This is what
you came and said that you are the saints, the rest of us are villains, and you know we have ruined the country for 76 years. You came to fix it. Now you must fix it.
So
and
it.
No, you're not fixing it.
So now we are discussing. No, this is a democratic platform. So we are discussing any slight issue.
They must walk the talk.
So it's good. So you are discussing it. Okay, if you are not walking the talk, people will decide at the end of 5 years.
That's the point of Chathuranga. You go on campaign stages, you promise certain things, and then when you say that, you cannot lie. I mean, your government, is it based on deceptions and lies? Is truth taking a holiday? What is happening? I mean, people are coming and asking. I mean, we see whatever that you all have promised versus whatever that is being delivered. There's a huge discrepancy. I mean, you are being disloyal to the voter. Okay. So I mean, we as the opposition has a right to question. That's why we are questioning in Parliament also.
Please do question. I think then there will be answers from the government, and government will explain.
You cannot
so I
make
think
mistakes.
This particular one, government has not given a formal explanation.
But that's why we are asking you this.
I think the government hasn't really given an explanation because the appointment hasn't been made.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Still, it's in the process of.
It's premature to shout.
No, before it happens, we as the media have to bring it out because.
Shami, the
so the same thing, the police IGP back in the day when the nominations brought in, how much we questioned. I mean, because there were issues. So same thing. What I'm saying is
he was appointed.
But what is wrong is wrong. What is wrong? I mean, we don't want to endorse what is wrong, but you came not to do the wrong. That is what we are saying. Your president didn't come to make such appointments. He must make sure if there's an Auditor General's department, seniority, individuals who are capable must be appointed. Why bring a friend?
Now, Lihini,
you know the question
something that
can I ask one
very
question?
quickly, I want.
Who has established this fact that there is conflict of interest? Who has established that?
You read the papers, Mr. Gunasekara?
No, I'm not talking about the papers. Who is saying?
He is a member of the. He was a director at the CPC at one point.
Also.
So it's very clear. There is no
because
deviation from that. There is
a member of the
is
CPC?
there a ruling?
So example now I'll give you a classic example. The advisor to President Anukumar Dissanayake, who is sitting in as an economic advisor. He's the chair of. He's a president of a audit firm, a well-known audit firm in the country. So what does that show, Mr.
Shamir, just quick one. Yeah. Now, whom do...
No, I'm trying to establish what is conflict of interest to Mr. Gunasekara.
Right.
Because what happens is he's privy to information that is very, very sacred when making investment decisions to a country.
Exactly.
So as a result of that, he can advise his investors. I don't know whether he's doing that or not, but he can advise his investors as to what the next steps of the government is, which is supposed to be under secret doors and only should be revealed once a decision has been taken.
My question is very simple. When you join the Auditor General's department, you have not been in service here before. Otherwise you can't join the Auditor General's department. Is that the case? You say I was a director somewhere and I joined the Auditor General's department and rise up. Somebody might say, look here, you are a director somewhere, therefore you can't be Auditor General. Who the hell is that? Who can that be?
But technically you can't.
No. I'm asking you a very simple question.
No, I'm telling you a very simple question as well. Now let's take a judge for an example.
No, the question is
why are judges absolving themselves from court cases?
Number one.
Why, Mr. Gunasekara?
Number one, I am not in support of any proposal so far as with regard to the post of Auditor General.
We are talking
what
about...
I say is, who decides that it's conflict of interest. And what is the reason? Somebody has to give an explanation, no?
There
Either
are
the government has to
things
give that
called ethics, no?
explanation.
There are things called ethics.
Who judges it?
Then you're questioning morality also.
No.
Then
I mean, let somebody. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not privy to any information with regard to this conflict of interest.
No, let's
Maybe
not
there's
defend this. I think it's a good discussion. So let's keep it on the table, and the government.
And the government will come. You have to come forward, no?
So,
But I'll tell you something.
Yeah, you have a
In
question.
fairness,
Yeah,
I'll tell you something. If the Constitutional Council has refused something, don't go against them. My advice is that.
Don't do it the second time.
Don't go against them at all.
Don't do the second time also.
You ask. Listen, I'm telling you.
They did it for the second time. They did it
Don't
for
go
the second
against
time. That's what I'm
So
telling you.
don't give the answer.
So don't do it for the second time. That's
Don't
your
go
advice to the
against
government.
no, there are experienced individuals in the Auditor General's department. Why? What is
Don't
the
do it for the
rationale?
second time, right, Mr. Gunasekara?
No, the question is this,
No, there is no
She said-
question, Mr. Gunasekara. I'm asking you a very simple
I
question.
have
Don't
answered
do it
your
for the
question
second time.
very, very clearly.
Right. So, Sharon, please.
Thank you very much, Ami. There was quite a lot of discussion, I think, even during previous episodes of Face the Nation. There were, and in the general discourse of Sri Lanka's political landscape, there's quite a lot of discussion on, promises and being true to those promises. And I think that whenever a new government comes into power and the opposition or the general public, moreover, demands for higher standards of keeping by the promises that they made at the election stage, I think it's always a sign of a very healthy democracy. And Lihini raised this question and said that the NPP must now live by the high standards that they preached before being elected into power. So, Lihini, with regard to the current political situation in Sri Lanka, one of the big talking points are the local government elections and how, who is going to have power in which. Let's take the decision that has been taken by the SJB to now form a coalition with all of the opposition parties. Now, I do understand the fact that it's a strategic move, and when it comes into politics, there are strategic moves that must be made. But your party is making this strategic move after explicitly promising before the election that no, we are not going to form any coalition with any opposition parties. And this election comes after two previous elections where at the presidential election the SJB said, how can we sit with Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is now with corrupt people from the SLPP and maybe even from the UNP. That was your position. So could you explain to me and to the general public who voted for you how now the SJB is coming forward and saying, look, we're going to form a government at the local government bodies together with all of the opposition parties after having taken that stance at the general election and sticking by that stance in your promises for the local government election, besides it being a strategic move on the part of the SJB?
See, SJB as a party still stands on that position. We will never endorse corruption. We will never endorse people who have robbed the system or anything of that sort. We go by the principles, go by values. We are a party. I mean, if at all anybody who's coming to power who has allegations of that nature, they should be duly prosecuted as per the law. But here in local government elections, you align based on policy. You align based on the objective of doing some justice to the people out there. Because local councillors, when you align because you can work because with the intention of working together. Now that is the interest why we want to form these coalitions, because we believe that the opposition collectively, people today has given a higher mandate to the opposition collectively.
It was not asked in the election, no. You didn't go to door saying, you went at via SJB, give us a vote. You didn't talk about UNP. You didn't talk about.
So there were instances where we said we will run separately. If required, we will merge.
There was a statement from the leader of the SJB. I can't remember it word to word, but the sense of it was he was quite adamant on that point. He said, we are contesting as the SJB.
Yes.
If we wanted to contest with some other parties, we would have gone and contested with something else. Yes. But we are contesting under the telephone.
Yes, that was a policy decision which we took because it's the first time that SJB is contesting a local government election, and we wanted to go with the SJB. But when it comes to forming power, even wherever we want to form the power, we stand majority. So here we want to form the council with the intention of doing what is right to the people. There are two things there. NPP councillors, you look at it, leave the country politics politics, you look at it from local area politics. These NPP candidates who have run for councils, who are today present, how I'm questioning their competencies, I'm questioning their experience levels. Whereas people in the opposition, collectively, SJB, all of us.
You all have a lot of experience in robbing. That's true.
Wait, not just that.
Corruption, of course.
No. I disagree. I disagree. We have experience in terms of governance. All of that. So when we come, if you're aligning, you just don't align, Shamir. You put down certain conditions, and you have a plan in what you want to do.
was toppled in 2002. Yeah, very well.
No, Lihini, but my question is very simple.
It's purely to serve the people. It's
a strategic move, and it's to serve the people. Those two are the only reasons. So my point being, we've seen how, not local government body governments per se, but even national governments. We had the UNP and the SLFP aligned for a while. We've had several coalition governments, and they didn't really succeed as much. So how now do you think that the SJB, who has vastly different policies from the SLPP, let's say at least the SJB and the UNP are kind of...
No, but SLPP has not said that they're supporting you all, no?
It's like they can't as Mr. Kesarralal before said, there is no opposition, everybody is together. So here we are. The opposition collectively are far more greater than the NPP. So we can work together. We will draw up a set of codes. If it's in our council, we will draw up a set of codes. How we will govern together.
Lihini, you didn't understand what Sharan was asking. Now, SLPP predominantly has been branded as a corrupt.
So we don't even you aligning.
So let's say so it's okay for you all to align.
No, it's not endorsing their corruption.
Is it okay for you all to align in a local government body, knowing very well the harm they have done to the country?
See, it's like this, Shamir. At
for
no
a petty
point,
agenda.
At no point
just to secure a seat as a mayoral candidate or mayor of Colombo.
See, at no point we will endorse corruption.
At whose cost?
It is to serve the people, because the government today has proven that they are not competent, that they are inefficient. The government is not walking the talk. If you see whatever that is been said and versus whatever that is been delivered, there is a huge mismatch. So the same thing, local government, it will be a complete disaster. So on that premise, we feel that the experienced opposition coming together and governing is far better than letting the NPP rule.
Okay, right. Very quickly. Please, just give me a second. I'll give the two of you. I'm going to give the two of you to pose questions. I usually, Mr. Gunasekara, I don't take statements from our viewers, but this is very important because we were talking about conflict of interest. So we have a senior chartered accountant who just messaged and said there is an ethics code that should be adhered to by all accountants in practice or in industry. Conflict of interest is defined in that code very specifically. It is issued by the International Ethics Standards Board. Just an answer.
So let somebody establish that.
No, that has been established already. You don't have to, when you're an accountant, you don't have to go behind asking to establish that code.
No. Somebody has to establish.
It has been done.
No.
Dr. Harshni Silva did that.
No. I'm saying something else. We say a nomination was made. Right. You have to establish that.
This was just a statement. No, you are entitled for your own opinion. No problem.
That is what I meant.
Yeah. Okay.
Just before, yes.
We both have the same.
You were saying that the opposition or the government at the moment it's lax. They're not sticking by what they said. They're inefficient. You said.
Yes.
So, in your opinion, are they more inefficient than governments that have come in the past? Specifically, let's just take the government that was there before, the SLPP government. So, if you are looking at aligning with all members in the opposition, the SLPP is also part of the opposition. So, do you believe that the NPP now is worse than the SLPP government that came into power somewhere in 2019?
See, the NPP today, they have not been able, my opinion, our opinion, opposition's opinion, that the NPP today has not been able to keep up to the word that they have promised. Today you take
but Lihini, if I can just get a straight answer, are they worse than the SLPP government?
See, I would say it's like this, being fair by them, they've been in 7 months in government.
Okay.
Give them more time to govern. Give them more time to govern. But however, for the 7 months, whatever they've said versus what is happening, there is a huge issue. We are in an economic, the country, economy. We're talking about what are the new things that they've been able to do. Foreign reserves today. You take national security per se. How many, we are like killing fields. 40 odd killings, 79 shootings in this country, and look at the salt issue today. Look at the rice issue. Anwar Kumar said, "Give me the president said, give me the cabinet and Prime Minister. We will fix the country in 6 months." He said that when we come in, we are going to bring the first 1.5 billion dollars. Where is it? And I mean, it's all political rhetoric, no? And you see, they are putting out lists in Parliament. You take that the suicide incident of that particular girl, Amshika. Look at the response of the women's minister. I mean, this is the electricity bill. I mean, I can go on. The KDU incident. I mean, it's like that they have some vengeance against people who want to study in this country. I mean,
I
they're
want to
bringing
ask about
policy of
the
that
KDU matter as well, Chathuranga. This is a very serious concern, I think, because Lihini brought it up. It's pertinent to ask this question on the KDU. But Kiran, you had a question. Why don't you ask that and then I will follow
No, I
up.
wanted to ask Lihini because you were saying that you're forming this alliance for the people and without really considering who you're holding talks with. Why did the SJB think that it's a good idea to hold discussions with the very people that the country rejected a few years ago? Why does the SJB think that that is the only solution right now?
See, as I told you, at no point we will endorse corruption, not at any point. I mean, we are all for the government duly executing and implementing the law. And whoever who has committed any faults must be prosecuted. We are there. But here, purely you align opposition. People have clearly said, opposition vote is far higher than the government in most councils. So it is fair that the people has rejected the government and then opposition. So, I mean, if we can come to some kind of an understanding, discuss, draw up a certain code of conduct, how you will govern, where SJB is leading, we will say, all your corrupt malpractices, whatever you did back in the day, cannot, those 10% commissions to, passing files, to, abrupt ways of passing plans, we will not endorse it. You could draw up a code of conduct.
Yeah, but
I feel like it's easy to say that.
It's easy not to form to be the mayor rather than to coming into all these codes and agreements and then not material. No,
No one is willing to budge.
If there is a will, there is a way.
But anyway.
I mean, according to Lihini, very simple, no? She said the members of the MPP are not competent. So give them everything and then topple them. Finish, no?
I think that is the strategy of the SLP.
Give them there, topple them.
Yeah, then
because they are
at
competent.
the expense of us, our children, our future, wait till they mess up
No,
for
but
the
that is,
next
need to
I think,
understand.
but Mr. Gunasekara, you are right, but that is a strategy of the SLP. That is why Namal Rajapaksa doesn't want to join hands with the NPP, the UNP and the SJB because he knows that he has bigger things in store. But anyway,
Call it daydreaming.
Yeah, so I want to switch to on this KDU matter. I'll come back to you, Mr. Gunasekara. Just give me a second.
Just a small comment.
Yeah.
You know what? We need to understand that when I came into local authority, I was a novice. When I came to Parliament, I was a novice. Within a matter of months, I learned everything.
You're a man with integrity, Mr.
No.
Gunasekara. You are not a man with integrity.
Anybody can.
Right, okay. Right, let's leave that aside.
It's
Mr.
not
Gunasekara.
fair to judge our candidates.
Yeah, that's I want
fair, actually.
Yeah.
Very wrong.
Yeah. So Chathuranga, just to on this KDU matter.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you are aware. Sri Lankan students who are residents overseas can apply to the KDU medical faculty. However, Sri Lankan students, residents in Sri Lanka, are left out. Now, I'm trying to figure out what is the rationale behind this, because at the end of the day, you're spending approximately 7 to 100 million per annum to send students overseas. Now, this number stands at approximately around 1,000. Students are going overseas to do medical.
Yeah.
So, why isn't the doors open for Sri Lankan students at the KDU?
Yeah, because very simple, we have a very clear policy that we want, if we are bringing in a medical college, there needs to be a particular framework.
Okay.
So basically the KDU runs on the premise of illegal, unstructured, closed down entity, which was the SITA. So they are still using that same criteria and the, that process. So there need to be a correction. So
no, but that is not the NPP talking. This policy, Chathuranga, this is not the NPP talking. This is the JVP talking.
No. We've been very clear before the election.
Nadeesha, do you agree?
Yes,
No.
of course.
No, very clear during the election, higher education policies in writing, that is there.
No, but
we have been
then
explained.
how come Sri Lankan students who are resident overseas can apply?
That I'm not 100% sure about that statement. What I'm trying to say is we need to correct the medical education structure here today, which is not formalized. It didn't came through a policy.
But Nadeesha, now that is not. Is that the NPP talking?
Yes.
That is not what NPP is talking. That is not what they talked, right?
No, I think why do you say no? You have a policy document. Have you read our policy document?
Yeah, to some extent, yes.
To some extent. Have you heard Nalindra Jayatis explaining this before the election? Medical college issue? No.
That's
have
NPP.
You? No. So NPP, we have clearly said we are open for private education, but when it comes to medical education, our priority is the 6 medical faculties which are there, which we need to equip. And if another medical college coming, they have to come through the guidelines which are already stipulated. The SITEM was established away from that guidelines. They never get that.
That
right?
is for a new private university.
Yeah.
For medical.
Yeah.
Like a medical college.
Yeah.
You are okay with that, right?
Yeah, we are okay with it.
Completely.
Currently, there's a policy, and there's going to be a new higher education framework that's going to come, which is going to stipulate the basic qualifications that what you need to get entered, right? And then how the evaluation processes will take place. And those things has to be there, that governance piece has to come for private higher education. We are very clear about it. Our priority, we are not our priority is government higher education. That's being clearly written in ink in our policy.
Yeah, the government higher education.
Yes.
I don't have any problem with that. But my question is, why not private education?
No, there is enough private education in
You
terms
have to
of
facilitate the
finance, IT, all that is there.
IT is completely okay, like it's
yeah,
happening all the time.
The management, that is also there. This is on the medical. We have been very clear why. Why our resources are limited. We have 6 faculties to run, and those faculties doesn't have resources. Our first objective is to strengthen them, right? And second, if you are bringing in medical colleges, there need to be a governance framework, which is now the medical council has to get involved, higher education has to get involved. It's not clear. These whatever that happened previously was like under the carpet, right? That is what we are saying. So then there will be the higher education policy will be clear going forward. The things will the laws that needs to be changed, but obviously within that framework private education can remain. There is no problem with private education.
That
is
you are completely okay with having a private medical faculty in Sri
under
Lanka.
the framework that we are going to bring. Yeah.
Okay.
Nadeesha, just to understand, how do you view the policies of the NPP? Because we know the policies that they were trying to advocate was the leftist policies. Looking at the party itself over the last few years, we're not talking about the formation of the NPP itself, but going back a few years, now they seem to have taken a different approach to the economic agenda as well. How do you view all these developments that are taking place within the NPP ranks right now?
See, NPP itself, again what I have to say is, what they promised and what they narrated was to the general public, who already are having those right-wing dreams. People are having, now that word I said, the technocratic middle class of Sri Lanka, they have their own dreams. They have their dreams about their life, right? So NPP catered, NPP's policies which they presented to the people, they were satisfying the dreams of the middle class. So that's how they came to power. But now, the struggle that they are having, previously, now you had this thing, the JVP and NPP struggle. Now, NPP is saying that there's no, and you are saying that it was planted, right? There is a huge difference between the policies that they believe.
I'm just asking you, have you ever read our policy book? Have you ever read our policy book?
I've read your policy book, and the other thing...
No, I'm asking very clearly.
Is it compatible? Is that compatible with the policy which you have in 79, the JVP?
No.
It's not.
No.
These are not matching.
No.
You know that, right?
So, have you read the 2021 JVP policy?
when you have the
2005
2021,
JVP policy.
okay, so
2015 JVP.
so that means
it's an
you believe-
evolution.
no, no.
It's an evolution.
when something evolves,
Yeah.
okay, the previous one will get cancelled.
Yeah.
That is what evolution is.
Yeah.
Evolution is when the new one comes, the previous
get
one can be cancelled.
Of course.
So definitely that means you are 100% sure that which was presented in 79
Is
by
cancelled.
JVP is cancelled.
Cancelled.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Now he is saying that JVP's this policy in 79 is cancelled.
Because the communist thing that was in 1917, it is cancelled, but we still read and learn out of it.
Okay.
What is
So
presented
that's a very
now,
important thing. That's the first
what
time
is-
that I heard from a
that
person.
is what I am saying. You have not been reading or listening to us. We have clearly said what we put as a manifesto. Here there was a book.
No, manifestos, Chathuranga, you
policy.
can. So
It's not-
every single political party,
So
they bring up their
you
manifestos.
now tell me,
Manifestos
now we
are
have
not
been
policy
7 months.
documents.
You tell me one deviation from that manifesto. We are going in that direction. That manifesto is very clear.
Okay, now that is all.
That-
That is-
because we are the only party, Shamir, who put a policy book. No, none of other parties brought in policy discussions.
Oh, no. We had a
no, they brought their
had a
blueprint
plan.
as well.
Blueprint
had
for
a-
economy.
we had a blueprint.
Right,
We
What I'm trying to say
had
is,
a policy,
so
a solid policy.
we have put those policies, we have deliberated that enough. We had enormous amount of what you said, this technocrat, middle class, all these, we spoke with them. They created the IT policies now driven by the people who did the policy.
Yeah. Now that manifesto of yours,
Yeah.
the policy
Alright.
book, what you mean?
Yeah, so don't ask too many questions, then I won't be able to ask questions from yours.
Shamir, just
Yeah,
one question, if I can pose one question to Nadeesha. Now, Nadeesha, I think in your opening statement also, Shamir said that civic movements try to confuse the general public. Now,
They're very good at it.
Now, just to follow up on that, now, Nadeesha, you said you are not a political party, so of course you won't be contesting at elections and seeking.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
Oh.
So
there's
you're
potential.
Mike-
No, you said
No, you're not a political. You're not.
So if you're power oriented, in a
Politics is
democratic
the final.
country,
Politics is the final goal. Okay, understood. So, Nadeesha, but now, at the moment, you are not a political party.
We are not.
At the moment, you are not a political party. So, now you're accusing the government of not being true to their promises, doing all of that contrary to what they said before the election. So, as a viewer, as a member of the general public, all that people can do is vote. Vote, and maybe during the elections they can protest and take those kind of steps. So, what do you want the people to do? What are you advocating for? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to, overthrow this government, vote for another party? What do you want them to do?
See, I'll start with something which I couldn't finish in the first place. So, the first question Shamir asked was, what is Dinana Dakuna? So, I was just explaining that it's a platform. And platform for who? Right? Now, there are people who should have voted SJP. There are people who should have voted in UNP. Right? And also there are people who didn't vote NPP, right? NPP. So these people all are frustrated. Especially now with you guys, Chathuranga, we have a policy. You are a policy opponent. That's all.
Yeah.
Nothing else. But our problem is with the SJB and UNP, right? Because they represent the right wing. Okay, they represent the right wing. So what we are creating the platform for the people to step in who really want to vote for UNP and SJB, but they don't want to accept what is happening in these two parties.
So basically, you are creating a political alliance that who can be our opposition for some time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. That is it.
That's good because every country has a right wing and a left wing that governs. Yes.
That is what should happen. Because the right wing
No,
and
but
left wing and ideological politics.
Are you left wing
What
anymore?
are they? That's a good question.
Are you left wing anymore?
We are
They
left
are.
wing.
They are
But
left
now,
wing.
if you're left
Then
wing
why
now,
you follow Daniel's policies?
policies
Why
are
you follow
very.
Daniel's liberal
Now, you all
policies?
today cabinet decision said about the selling of the Grand Hyatt and all that.
So it's not policy. What do you mean policy? This is decisions that we take. We have been very clear. Essential goods, few SOEs, we will never sell. That is been clear in the book. Other SOEs, we will take decisions based on the SOE's requirement and whether that is, no, it is not a left or a right. Now today China delegates came here and 80% of their economy is run by private sector. Now, do you call China a right wing or a left wing? Chinese government? No, that is not China. I mean, I've been trying to explain this, all this. Let's do what's right for the country. Our left orientation is giving an equitable opportunity to everyone, right? Our strategy of education and health is core to people, right? Our strategy on elevating poverty is core to people. Our strategy on digitization is to give people more access, transparency and equity. So that is what left wing means. The strategies we take, it will take time based on the situation.
Just for me to understand now, if you have left-wing policies, how is that an 18% electricity tariff hike is going to come into play based on the women fancy of the IMF? Sorry?
What does left-wing now? I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand from you.
Yeah.
Now, if it's left-wing, you always talk about people orientation. No, it's for the benefit of the people. Let's forget about all these policies and all that. Left-wing is about being the core at heart is the people of the country.
That's not the definition.
Yeah, no, that's not the definition. But at the end of the day, what boils down is the people should benefit.
Yes.
So tell me, with an 18% electricity hike, how is the people going to benefit?
It's going to benefit, Shamir, because we are in a program that the government cannot take losses to treasury, right? Now for people, we have given the poorest of Sri Lanka a livelihood for next few years with Assasu. We have given the government servants $110 billion rupees in terms of their difficulties they are facing. We have given farmers the benefit that they want.
No, but all this
what I'm trying
is not the NPP policy. I'm sorry to say it, but it's a IMF regulations that very clearly says the social safety has to be there, and as a result of that only all have allocated
NPP
money.
Policy in the sense, how do you define it?
So I'm asking you, do you all have the NPP policy on board right now, or is it the IMF policy that you all are banking on?
It is there's no IMF policy. Very clearly we need to understand IMF has a framework. Framework tells what is the budget deficit should be. What is it? It's 2.3 positive primary balance.
So I'm just telling you.
So what I'm trying to say,
let's say hypothetically, you all don't get this 18% tariff hike.
Yeah, from the PUS.
You all don't get. You all get probably 4% or 5%. Yeah. Will the IMF give you all the tranche?
Don't know. We have to negotiate because the end goal is at the end of the year, electricity board should not have any losses transferred to the treasury. That is it.
That's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line.
So that means the 18% hike is going to come.
It should. I mean, based on the current situation.
But you as the Deputy Minister of Entrepreneurship and all the Chathuranga, how do you look at this for the SME sector in the country?
No, I think SME.
So your responsibility at the end of the day is the entrepreneurship, SMEs and the medium sector corporations in this country. As a Deputy Minister in charge, how are you going to manage that?
We have been very well managing this in terms of SMEs and the business community also. How so? Just okay. Let me answer. Right. So last year there was a hike on electricity, right? And there was a reduction in electricity. If you still take net, even with the 18% adjustment, it will be a 5% minus than last year. Everybody knows we are coming out of a recession, right? The SMEs are given the benefits that which we can give from the budget. SMEs are aware of it.
But Chathuranga,
so reducing electricity, Shamir, you can't. What do you want?
Chathuranga, before being a politician yourself, you were representing one of the best privately owned companies in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
You were one of the top tier executives in that company. And this is prior to your role as a politician. Now, don't talk as a politician.
No,
you know, wait. You know for a fact, budgets are being decided upon by companies every January to March. And then based on that only, they start putting a forecast for that particular year in question, starting from the 1st of April to the 31st of March every financial year. Agreed? So when the energy costs haphazardly is going up, by 18% in June, how is it that the SME sector in the country is going to sustain themselves? Because they have budgeted a certain amount for electricity, and now they're coming up with a huge energy bill at the end of the day. How are they going to sustain? Now, don't wear the hat of a politician,
what I'm
because
trying to,
I have known you
thing.
since 2019, and you have come me on the show as a very well-respected professional.
So, Shamir, I'm being very professional.
Don't be the deputy minister.
So you asked me as a deputy minister?
Yeah, no, deputy minister, I'll ask you about the SME sector burden, but tell me
SME sector,
how this is going to work out.
SME sector, every household will be burdened by this, right?
That is acceptable.
Accepted.
Okay.
Right? And everybody, that is why we have to come out of this challenge. No, this is a legacy we are trying to fix. Our policy is very clear that we will bring the electricity tariff by 1/3 within few years.
Yeah, because if the government is aware of this, it's important. Because there are going to be companies that are going to close
even
down.
Today also, President had a conversation with 4 industries. We were very clear there will be a price hike, which we don't know whether it's 18% or less, but there's going to be a hike. Why? Now, what is the condition we have with the IMF, which is agreement which has been signed before we came in, you all know. What has been signed? It has been signed, there should be mark-to-market adjustments in fuel and energy. Are we clear? Right. Now, when you say mark-to-market in energy, the CEB gives a forecast to the PUS, right? So basically they forecast the rain, and based on the rain only our tariffs will change. Why? More from hydro will reduce the cost of electricity.
When you say mark to mark, what I'm aware as a journalist is, what is agreed upon is a formula.
Yeah,
formula. That formula has to be adhered to at any cost.
Yes.
That is affecting the fuel, and every 6 months the adjustments on the that is what we are aware.
So that's what I'm saying. When you say mark to market, it should cover the cost recovery. Sorry, the word was cost recovery. So cost recovery is that you are not supposed to make a profit or a loss. Right, when you say after you adjust it. But the problem with CEB, fuel, it's not a problem. See, because it get adjusted every month. So here you need to make a forecast for 6 months. Forecast is also based on assumption. So what happens now is the CEB gives a forecast, and sometimes they make a super profit, which they did last year.
115 billion.
Yeah. So then the PUS seller, let's give 41 billion back to the people. So how do you give the 41 back to the people?
By reducing the cost.
By reducing it by some put 20%, 30%, 20%, there was a reduction. That is what happened. Now, this year also there is a forecast. So based on the forecast, this 6 months, now the CEB has been incurring losses for the last 18 billion over the last 3 months. So now you need to adjust, correct it, so that you recover that. So when you over-recover, if you over-recover, on the next one,
there
will be a give back. So the end of the day, it should be a net-net. Now, we have been explaining this as the Ministry of Industries to all the industries. Public may get confused about it, but that is the thing. And the other IMF condition, if there is a continuous loss for more than 2 months, 3 months, there should be an automatic price adjustment in the next month. We don't want to get there. That's detrimental for SMEs. If the electricity price started changing every month, that's detrimental. So we are now trying to fix into a 6-month cycle.
So we heard Dr. Harshadi Silva saying in Parliament, why are you all agreeing to conditions of the IMF midway through the
no, it's not
program?
We are not agreeing to any condition, because these are conditions that's been agreed. Now what the IMF is doing is, whatever you agreed in the beginning of the agreement, are you?
What is the role of the PUSL? What is the role of the PUSL?
PUSL is to see how fair the rates
are.
Yeah.
Why is it that the CEB, which is a politically motivated organization, trying to interfere into the affairs of the PUSL?
There's an amendment that is being brought to modify the PUSL Act, and then all amendments must go through the Ministry of Finance as opposed to PUSL.
Yeah.
So then it is an independent body that was established in 2002, I believe, number 35. So then, I mean, you're directly
Why is that,
intervening
Chathuranga?
into the
on the new
role
act,
of the PUSL. Yeah.
which I'm not 100% sure what that assumption
No,
is.
you're a deputy minister of
Yeah. No, what I'm
everything what you're
what
asking,
I'm
you are
trying-
not aware now.
No, I'm not aware.
KDU, we asked you, you said you were not aware.
I am not detailedly aware
when
about
Auditor General's matter,
the
you said you were not
structure that
aware.
is going to come in terms of eliminating PUSL law, getting finance consent, because finance consent is required at this point to manage this, manage
They are
this agreement.
directly intervening to the independence of the PUSL because the government, I mean, it's very
So-
clear, no, what is the role of the PUSL, why was the PUSL
No,
formed?
what do we need to do now? We need, so what, no, what I'm
asking us.
no,
if I was,
Asking us.
if I was there,
no, Shamir, now you
I
need to
will do
I mean,
things
you
different.
came saying you're going to reduce electricity
Shamir,
by 30,
right? So
37%.
what do we
No,
need,
no,
what we
what-
need
what
to
is it?
do is to ensure the SOEs don't make losses,
So how?
right?
Because they have to sustain themselves, no?
No, there is treasury that runs on a thin budget. We need to ensure that doesn't happen. So in terms of deciding prices, finance has to play a part, because the numbers given by the CEB and all that has been a havoc last few years. So the finance will get involved in deciding the price. So that probably is the agreement that the new act that is going to come, which I am not going to comment too much. But let's see if there is a
Because now Chathuranga, the danger is you all have 2/3.
yeah.
Whatever law that comes into play, you all can.
So anyway, that is the
And
case.
also
If there's anything, a right is getting violated, or a fundamental right is going to get violated, people can do that. And even as government, we are willing to ensure what is the democratic way of doing things. So if the act gazette is there, let's discuss that gazette. If there's a gap in that, I think we are still open to change.
All these contradicts in their manifesto, which they said manifesto 106, the page 167 clearly says that when they amend electricity tariffs and all the rates, that everything will be done in a very transparent manner.
Yeah.
And also it is also stated in your energy policy which you all have put out, and all of this is contradicting to the PUSL bill that you are going to bring in when
There
it
is
comes
no
to
PUSL bill.
sorry,
It's a
electricity amendment bill, where you directly go and challenge the role of the PUSL, where when it comes to electricity amendments, that the Ministry of Finance will get involved.
Ministry of Finance will get involved in the technicality of the calculation.
It doesn't say that. It doesn't
Right.
say it sort of defines the role of the PUSL.
I think this is on news that you are talking. Let's go to the act and discuss in detail, which will be discussed in the next week. Let's hear them out. The debates will come. SJB will put the points, and because just because one parliamentarian just goes and talks about nonsense in his head,
No, it's
everybody
not
think
nonsense,
that
it's
is
what
economics.
that is
Right?
whatever they are putting out.
People think that somebody from SJB who thinks as the guru of economics goes and tells certain things, that becomes news in this country. That is not the right way to do economics.
Chathuranga, we
You
are
need to
talking.
discuss.
We are talking
So
facts. We are talking
let's
facts. So
talk
if the facts, if our facts are wrong, you have the
Yeah,
very
that's
right
what I'm
forum to debate. But what the facts we are saying is not wrong. It is right.
For me, just to understand,
Yeah.
Lihini, all these issues have to be brought up in the parliament.
Yeah.
And
Before that,
the role
somebody
of
is coming and
the
give voice
role
cut.
of the chief opposition whip is to make sure that these issues are brought to the attention of the parliamentarians and discussed. Why is it not?
So
Why is it not
when
happening?
bills are debated, all these issues are being raised. Opposition leader
The SJB economic expert is the head of the finance committee.
Yeah, so he raises all
Right?
these things.
So these discussions have not still come to that place. So there is enough time for us to
Right, so-
debate and figure
so,
this
I
out.
mean, you're talking about
what I'm
SJB,
trying to
you're
do
talking
is
about- we
let's not
mentioned
go
all
on
these things in
assumptions.
Parliament.
This government is wanting to do the right thing by the people. You asked whether we are a left wing, by the people. And we also want to manage this IMF agreement and the economy. We are balancing things off. How many things we are doing to ensure that nobody is hurt? How many things we are trying to do to ensure that we get the second tranche? How many things that we are doing to ensure our credit ratings are going up?
This is a real sob story.
But Chathuranga, a lot of people are hurt now. I remember before the
This is a real sob story. Come
before the
deliver,
elections, you
talk.
came on the show and said the pay tax is going to be reduced to 24%. You said the pay tax threshold is going to be brought to, I can't see that happening.
That's
It will happen. So Shamir, when the tax collection,
a lot of people are hurt.
No, I think what was possible was done. When the now, for example,
No, but if you look at the
that is our policy, no?
No. But if you look at the proposal that was put forward by Ranil Wickramasinghe, it was a better bet than what you all proposed.
Which one?
Because he increased the threshold from 500,000 to 700,000.
Right.
So as a result of that, the saving at the end of the day was around 32%. But you all have made it 36%, and the highest saving for anyone who earns more than 450,000 is 20,000 rupees. 20,000 rupees, you don't even have salt in the country. What can you do with 20,000 rupees?
So now
1 kilo of salt was going at around, now it's around 150 bucks.
Yeah,
but it
so
was going at 600 rupees at one point.
what we have done is what was possible this year, but our direction is very clear.
So next year this is going to happen.
We are trying to gather taxes. We are increasing the widening the tax net. What has happened previously? We have only collected 8.59% tax from this country. Now we are digitizing. We are bringing laws that to have TIN numbers for the people who are buying vehicles. We are bringing in acts.
We see.
So when that happens, Shabir, the thing is the taxes for SMEs, taxes for startups, taxes for professionals has to come down. That is our policy. But
a lot of people are still leaving the country, Chathuranga.
Yeah. So we have to carve out from the budget, no, Shamir, to give something else. So we have to balance all those things.
When you go to countries like Canada, it's a mini Sri Lanka there.
Yeah.
A lot of Sri Lankans
So this is not something that happened within 6 months. This is the legacy that we are trying to fix. No, it will take some time to fix these things.
So can I read the amendment to the bill? It clearly states that the government's new electricity amendment bill ties the independent regulator to consult the Ministry of Finance when settling tariffs, whereas existing legislature passed last year. Consult. So independence of the PUSL is being challenged.
Consult.
Clause
Why?
7 of the amendment
Why
bill then
consult?
completely repeals the
Because
relevant section of the principal enactment which replaces the committee appointed by the minister. So I mean, we've debated on these things many times back in the day.
Let's leave this aside, the PUSL matter. Why don't you bring in an amendment about former president's privileges and all that? Now this Mahinda Rajapaksa is still staying in that house, which is around 4.5 million rupees a month.
I think
it is apparently one football ground big, no?
Yeah,
That's what they say.
I think that is
bring a bill for that.
that is been agreed. No, the report has been presented to the president. Now it's a matter of time he brings it to the parliament. So the privileges.
We don't know what is happening with the Indian
agreements. The 7 agreements.
So a lot of things we are in limbo.
Yes.
What is
the 7 agreements, the defense agreements.
it is MOUs.
Yeah, but where is
the MOU?
So generally the MOUs are not published.
No, that is not why you all have been appointed, no.
Yeah.
You all have been appointed to power to make everything public bring it to parliament.
Standard, no, whatever you all say versus what is happening. I mean,
So
you
you
talk
need
about
consent of both parties to do it. But now it's if you take the MOUs 7, I think there's 8, very clearly state the purpose and the outcome of it.
Right? What's the content of it?
There is no agreement signed, no.
No agreement. Then what did you all sign?
You have signed the MOU.
It is the understanding.
So publish the understanding. People need to know what the understanding is. I mean, if you're talking about transfer and governing, publish it. What is it? Have you compromised on sovereignty?
We'll ask that question from Mr.
Have you
Gunasekara.
compromised the sovereignty of the country? What are the agreements that they have entered?
The defense
These are
cooperation
questions.
thing.
Defense
cooperation MOU. So that is the main thing that no one is, I mean, different people have said different stuff, no? So one said that I can't remember the person. I can't remember your party.
Then don't say it. No, if you don't know who it is, don't say it. If you know who it is, then say it.
No. Fact is there.
No, fact is you can't say that. If you know who has said it, you can say it. If you know, then it is whole
that it is going to be published in the no. Okay, let's see. Silva
So
said
there needs to be.
Silva said what? Silva said what? Yeah,
no. There's a contrast between what Silva said and between some.
Between
I can't remember the other one.
So then there has to.
Can
I give you a minute to gather your thoughts?
I'll see.
Right.
Back in the
Mr. Gunasekara, just to understand now these agreements. Now, never in I have. This is my 38th year living in Sri Lanka, and I was born 38 years ago. Never have I encountered salt problem.
Correct, you're correct.
How long, how old are you, Mr. Gunasekara, if I may ask?
69.
69. So you also have not seen a salt problem ever in this country. But we are facing all these problems with this NPP government. Why is it?
This is the...
On that defense agreement, I think the defense agreement has already been made public by media institution. I think Shiharani's
but
it has not been confirmed.
It has
not been confirmed by the government.
It has to be tabled in Parliament.
Yeah.
That is what's important.
Okay.
All this is anyone can deny it at the end of the day.
No, but my question being now, there is a text of a document that is said to be the MOU that has been signed with India, that has all but been confirmed by both sides, not expressly confirmed. My question is now.
Just the salt matter.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'll come back to
Definitely.
salt.
No need.
69 years, no salt.
Never. But you must understand.
Give them
during
more
the
time.
During the last 6 to 7 months, there have been enormous amount of rain.
Mr. Gunasekara,
No.
Then why is it the electricity bill is going up? Mr. Gunasekara, now electricity bill is going up because there is no rain.
Wait. When
Then
there is too
salt
much
is
rain,
not available because there is rain.
Shami,
Where do you want the
understand.
rain to?
No, I'm asking.
Contradicting.
This
You
is
know,
it is
and
not
there is too much
contradicting.
rain
in the
there.
hill country is different to rain in the
Is it the first time it's raining in Sri Lanka?
No,
Chathuranga.
because there's the
Where is the
factors are-
contingency plan?
Somebody
Where is the contingency plan? Every time some issue happens, okay, import salt, import this. Where is the plan?
The plan is very clearly there. There
no
will be enough
plan.
salt when the
No, there is
production.
salt now. No, there is salt now.
There is salt now. There has been few days of a gap which was based on the predictions have gone out, right?
No, because your minister, when the salt factory was opened in the north, said that there will never be an issue with salt in the country hereafter.
He said,
Your
because
minister.
based on the projections of March, we thought that the salt can be taken out in March. You know how the saltants work, right? So 2 months in the first plateau, it has to distill and it moves to the second one. It takes about 6 months to bring the salt, right? So if it rains, the entire whole thing process get dismantled. So the issue was that we never had a buffer stock. That is the problem. And then our prediction was March we could get salt, we couldn't get salt, therefore we had to import again. I think there's a slight delay in importing, but going forward we will fix these things. I mean, these are things we will learn and do, right? Because there was no salt stock when we took on the government. But we went on predictions from September to March. Now it's a time that all these things came up. But let's face the reality. I mean, all these saltants, if we have done it previously, if we have invested enough, we wouldn't have problem. We would be exporting salt, which is the current plan. Now,
but there was issue now with regard to this electricity power projects and all that. EDCA, power projects, all that predominantly Chathuranga, the JVP has been against all this. You know this. They have been protesting and
that is for the Sampur.
And
so that is for the
and
coal.
Yeah, that
Now what happened now is
I read EDCA and all that lot of matters.
Yeah.
That was being progressively looked at for the country was protested by the, I don't know whether Nadeesha would be able to agree or disagree with this, have been protested against by the JVP for a long time.
Yeah.
So if all those things were happening at that time, Sri Lanka wouldn't have been in this state right now.
Not We have signed so many things, and why things didn't happen is we never had a policy. Policies were never driven. We had corruption from top to bottom.
Talk about Umao. Every time this country tried to do something, they are on the road blocking. To get education, when foreign education institutions wanted to come to Sri Lanka, they were on the road protesting. Everything they were protesting. No, so you can't deny the fact that you all have halted. Back in the day when Monash and everybody wanted to come and set up here, it was always the JVP that blocked progress in this country. I mean, these are factors that you all can't deny. At least go apologize to the people and say we made a mistake. We are trying to come and correct it now. So I mean, you all have to accept the fact that you have contributed to crippling governments in this country.
So then that's very interesting. Now this whole narrative of a 3% or a 1% of the country has been very powerful in determining the nature, the success of the country, the rulers has been very weak there. Because they have not been able
went and voted for them because their rhetoric was so powerful. 76 years, nobody did anything.
Nothing has happened,
they came and put a strong narrative there.
Right?
People believed and voted. But now today the people are realizing else. Lost 2 million of their votes at the last election, which was very evident.
Just to understand, Lihini, I want to give.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Vishal, go ahead.
No. My question being now since there is a text of this MOU that has been signed, and both parties, both India and Sri Lanka, I think there is an issue on bi-party agreement on releasing these agreements. Yes. 12. So now since there is this text out, these accusations, I understand the accusations on transparency as to why it wasn't released by the government themselves. I understand that. But on Sri Lanka's sovereignty being compromised, are these accusations being made after an analysis of those released documents, or is it?
No, it is either. I mean, we as the opposition always have the right to question the government. When the government repeatedly is not putting all these agreements out, we have certain, we can speculate, we have certain doubts. What is it? I mean, there's a defense cooperation agreement, then there's a Trinco business hub, energy hub agreement between India, Sri Lanka, UAE, the trilateral agreement. I mean, all these, and then the grants for the eastern region, the power generation agreement. What is it? I mean, if it, by all means, if it's good, but then they must disclose it to the people, no?
I think there's
Kumara Dissanayaka in stages back in the day have, I mean, I can't find the video. He had said, he has criticized the previous governments when they did not put out the agreements, saying that what are they trying to hide? That they were whether the previous governments were compromising the sovereignty of the country. So we are asking the same thing back from them when they are not disclosing.
Government has clearly disclosed what is the goal, objective of those agreements.
No, you haven't.
So I just want to get back.
And then they want us to put an RTI and get it also.
Yeah. So when it comes to national security, it won't.
That's not coming.
That won't come. So I mean, they are using that as a thing for us to. I mean, what?
Governments do agreements with governments, and that is government has been appointed with trust, and that if that is compromised, there is ways that people can this thing right now. We have been clearly saying, our ministers and all that, the agreements that we reach for these purposes, right? So I think let's don't bring assumptions.
No. So we don't need to bring in assumptions, Kesarralal. We are already asking to table it in Parliament. Let the people know what it is.
Right.
You have all the right to enter into agreements. We respect that.
So just to understand, I think Chathuranga brought in a very valid point. For 76 years, what have you all done?
What have we not done? We have electricity.
No, wait. No, so I know. Wait, I'm not done. You're not letting me ask the question. No, from 2015 to 2019, tell me what you all did.
So 2015.
Just to understand, what sort of projects you all brought in. So what sort of individuals went behind bars in terms of the corruption allegations.
We brought the 19th Amendment back in the day, which was a very progressive legislature. We brought the RTI Commission. The Constitutional Council, the independence of the Constitutional Council.
That's the 19th Amendment.
The 19th Amendment. Then education reforms were brought in.
Yeah, my question is very specific. I'm asking you. You all came into power with the good governance slogan.
Yes.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Yes. You all said those who they have a talk about money that was stored outside. They have a talk about there being golden horses, golden cars, all that you all spoke about so much.
Yes.
But tell me, what did you all do in terms of bringing those to justice in these 4 years that I'm referring to?
So yes, the FCID at that point was formulated.
Tell me one person. Forget about don't mention 5 names. Tell me one name. Will you? Who went behind bars?
So not behind bars. I think back in the day they wanted to set a new precedence. I believe Mr. Ravi Karunanak at that time resigned from Parliament, or he was not resigned. He was. Not resigned. He was brought in. He was quite. There was a first time I believe. And
No, I
Gamini
think, Lihini, what Shamir
No.
is asking now, within
Now,
last
that 4 years. now
last
what-
4 months,
Yeah.
6 politicians
Yeah,
are behind
so tell me,
bars.
that's why I'm asking you now. What did you all do? Tell me.
So
will
there
you-
was at that point we came into power
Nothing.
after Mahinda Rajapaksa's administration.
What
and
assurance you all have that you all would have done something after you all came into power last
so
October?
again, at that time when we took over the Yahapalana, it was in 2015.
How much of issues were
it
cropped
was-
up, Lihini,
Yes, so-
between
so
2010
we
and
took
2009?
over
Tell me one
195
instance. Tell me one
files.
instance. Sajid Premadasa raised his voice in Parliament on behalf of the people from 2000 to 2019. Don't tell me two. Tell me one.
No, so I mean, I'm sorry, I cannot recall.
You
at
can't
this
recall
point.
because
If
there
I
was
do
never-
my research,
never an
I will
instant.
definitely-
Never an
no,
instant.
No, I disagree with you because at that point we formed the FCID. There were many cases against
No
the
political speech
present administration,
against
which was from the High Court.
So what
the
Chathuranga is saying is
three-judge
also
High
right.
Court
That
was
is the rhetoric.
established.
That's a very rhetoric that has come center stage. Nadeesha, do you agree? Because now the opposition has not done anything.
No, I disagree.
See,
I mean, that is why people gave power to MPP.
no, that is correct. I
Yeah,
agree
so
on
that-
that.
yeah, so that-
People gave power
it
to
will
MPs.
matter of us
But you
doing
can't
or
say we
not.
didn't do anything. That
Yeah.
is a wrong narrative. I mean, when we
gave power
left in
to MPP for that.
2019, there were reserves in the country, 7.5 billion reserves we left. We never left the country with an economic crisis. Then Gotabaya Rajapaksa came and completely turned it around. So I mean, there was Mahinda Rajapaksa's loans that were taken, which we had to be paid.
Just a point.
So you can't say we
Lihini,
didn't do anything,
Just a
Chandra.
point, Lihini.
It's a wrong accusation.
The loans that were taken from 2000 to 2019 also contributed to
Much more.
So that,
ISBs.
that is because
No,
Mahinda
just-
Rajapaksa's those loans, the,
No, I'm just saying.
the White Elephant projects,
just
the loans were maturing.
just want to place it on record. That was the worst, and no country gets bankrupt overnight. So whatever
So
we point the
talk
finger
it
at.
in context, Shamir.
Yeah.
There were the White Elephant projects, many loans that were Mahinda Rajapaksa the administration took. So those loans were maturing. So to pay, we took loans, we maintained
No, but
the
when I'm
reserves.
asking you, tell me one instance that Sajid Premadasa has voiced his opinion against corruption. You don't know any.
Oh, he has spoken in Parliament many a times.
Tell me one instance.
So
Which
He's
case?
your
time I
leader.
come, I will bring you facts and tell.
Right, okay.
No,
Please,
which
please.
case?
Yeah. So Nadeesha, you were saying, isn't the same rhetoric that has taken center stage, and as a result of that, only MPP is gaining a lot of
So
ground.
since 2015, this is what happened. People were expecting Yahapalana. We experienced what Mahinda Rajapaksa government did all the time. Like since 2005 to 2015, we saw corruption and all this stuff. So at that time, along with us, like Lihini's, like SJB, no, that time there was no SJB, UNP and JVP, all together we were fighting against Rajapaksa, right? It was against the Rajapaksaism, which was the opposite of the democracy at that time, right? So people brought Yahapalana because they expected actual good governance, but people did what they expected, that didn't happen. Then what happened? That frustration brought Gotabaya Rajapaksa utter failure to power, right? Through Viyatmaga. That is the project, okay? Through Viyatmaga. How that professionals came into the action, right? Now, that is also another thing. Yahapalana came saying that we will catch the people who are responsible, corrupt and all. So it didn't happen. But still, the reason was, now the people were looking for the reason why it didn't happen. Still, these are professional politicians, that won't work. Then Gotabaya Rajapaksa's campaign, they understood that, and they brought this Viyatmaga thing, right? Because then people started thinking like, okay, when professionals come to power, things will change. That's the first instance where professionals came into Sri Lankan politics in that way. But that also didn't work. It became an utter failure. And NPP used the same strategy. Okay? 3 times people have failed. 3 times people have facing the frustration. 2015.
Why do you say that NPP is also doing the same thing? Because they have only been in power for 7 months. You can't judge them by the work of 7 months.
People are frustrated. People are frustrated. The election result says it. People are frustrated. Their thing is right.
Just a question. Can a local council election determine the aspirations of the general public at large?
It has a difference. It has a difference. It has a difference, but not in this big scale, right?
Because we all
losing
know
of 500,000, 600,000, even 1 million is acceptable.
Vote in the general
Why didn't they vote? If you are doing really good,
no, people don't go to vote for the local election.
See, you did. I mean, you were just giving hopes, and they gave you the presidency, right? And then people thought that, all right, they are doing really well. Then they increased your portion, and they gave you 159 seats, right?
Because it's a general election.
No, because they thought that you are going to deliver.
Right.
Now they don't think.
No.
Now they don't think.
Can I show? Of course I see.
Before we go, just Nadeesh, you mentioned one thing. You said that
So
it was the first time.
Actually,
it was the first time in 2019 where through Vietmaga professionals came into politics, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
And the NPP also has followed a similar way in getting elected into power. But
If you can see the same faces.
you
can see the
my
same
question to
faces.
you is do you genuinely believe that professionals came into politics at the 2019 election and they were given an opportunity to govern, as opposed to what's happening with the NPP now? Because my question is raised because there was a serious issue during the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government that about more than 75% of the budget was controlled by the Rajapaksa family.
True.
So when you say professionals came into politics and it didn't work, there is also a question if professionals were given that space in politics to make it work, because then the general public would be like, okay, professionals are also not good for politics, then we should go to traditional politics and we will be playing that game until so is there a difference now? Is it still run by one family or still a group?
See, professionals coming into politics
Is good.
is good if they convert to professional politicians. If you are a politician, you should be a politician, right? If you are a politician, you should be a politician. If you are coming to politics, you should become a politician, not a professional. Most of these people, they are still acting like professionals. Now, you asked a question from Chathuranga.
So what's the difference between a professional and a politician? Interesting.
A professional, now he's a politician. I don't see him a professional.
No, but what's the difference? What's the difference?
See, with all
due respect, Nadeesha, just to clarify that position a little bit more, Chathuranga is a very good professional. He has been a very successful.
No, that is a different story.
No, I'm just saying he has been a very successful data-driven personality in a very big company in Sri Lanka, and he's, I think, so far doing an okay job.
No, it's quite a compliment coming from.
I'm saying
being
because
the deputy minister, I want to see him as a deputy minister. I want to see you as a politician.
But at the end of the day, his professional capacity is also helping. Now, example, today there was a meeting.
Is helping.
There was a meeting with Anukumar Dissanayaka and individuals from the export sector. It was very nice to see Chathuranga sitting there as an individual who was handling an export operation before and sitting there and trying to address issues. So sometimes professionals being in politicians' shoes work. Now, example, Lihini is an attorney at law by profession. If Lihini has been given a chance to be the mayor of it will never happen. Moratua. No, will that happen? No. You're so sure about this thing,
We don't have the majority.
No. Even if all had the majority, would that happen?
She knows about the democracy of her party.
Shamir, just because he compared, I'll tell you, Rai, myself, Kaushi, Harini, Harshan, we all came into politics in 2019 from a professional background. Now we are holding power, portfolios and responsibilities in this government. Harshan Surya Peruma is a professional. He is doing a superb job at the Ministry of Finance as a deputy. Anil Jayant is a professional.
So I'm just saying, in that respect, having professionals running organizations like ministries, don't you think it's important? Because we have had people who have had no idea. You know, there was a deputy minister who was a state minister from the government who was absconding court for such a long time. He was a state minister. He was attacking parliamentarians with chili. This is the kind of people we want in parliament. I'm sorry to say this,
no.
but
What I meant
is that the kind of politicians we want?
No, what I said.
At least
being a
Try
professional,
to find
you have
parallels in Vietnam and Assam because that's not fair.
it is parallel. It is parallel. Okay, but you have to convert to a professional politician. It doesn't mean that your professionalism fades away.
No, example, I don't want Chathuranga to be holding kids and massaging their head and all that and saying, do a good job for the country. That is not the politician that we want to see.
That is how you
we
have
want him
defined
to
the
work.
politician. That
No,
is
but
how you have defined the politician.
Shamir, I think that's interesting. I
That
think
is how you
Nadeesha,
define politician.
could you give us a difference between the difference between
No, you are the one who defined it now.
You tell me.
No, according to your definition.
Definition, tell me.
I don't want to give a definition. You are the one.
No,
who
so, but no,
defined
now
it, right?
your statement, Nadeesha, is that, you know, professionals, it's good to have professionals in politics,
Yeah.
but once they come into politics, they need to become a politician, a professional politician. So my question to you is to support that statement, or for me to understand that at least, I need to know the difference between a professional and a professional politician. What is the difference?
Politician sees his situation
Okay.
in a political manner. You gave the answer. You asked him.
Forget about everything.
You asked him a question.
In your opinion, Mahinda Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is a politician, who is a professional?
Both are professionals. Both are professionals who became politicians. Both are lawyers. Right? Both are lawyers, but they are professionals. And they are professionals who became politicians. Right? Now, you asked him a question very clearly. Answer as a professional. Right? Because you know he is looking at the same problem as a politician. That is his job.
Right. So, Chathuranga, now there has been many issues over the last 7 months. I think that the SJB has not really brought to the attention of the public, but as journalists, I am bringing it to the attention of the public because we think we have to be the devil's advocate. As Harini, you said, even if you're on the now you were a nationalist member of parliament as well from the SJB, they never gave you a chance. So forget your hopes of becoming the mayor at any cost. Anyway, Chathuranga, just to understand, we saw the former speaker's doctorate. Was it Sharan that came into problem? Yes, yeah. Even if you walked to Japan and came back, you would have been able to give the doctorate by now. But I don't see that doctorate being presented.
See, there's issue with that. So there needs to be some level of accountability from his side as well. And party currently is a parliament member appointed by people, right? So in terms of giving responsibility and accountability, we haven't seen him appointed to any of the committees. Now we have parliamentary committee.
He also resigned from his position as speaker,
so
obviously.
There's a level of.
But don't you think he has to resign from his post as parliamentarian because he has lied to the public?
That I don't think that.
No, again, that is not
answer.
happening because he's very close to President Anand Sana. If you look at his political affiliations, just going back a couple of decades.
Don't bring that, Shamin, because none
I'm
of
trying to
us has
understand.
affiliations in our party because the party makes a very collective decisions on.
No, but
people.
don't you think that he has to resign from his post if he has lied?
I think it's a
Yes.
personal decision, but in terms of his entire career, capacity, commitment he has made, there is a mistake that he has done. But I am personally saying that is not a
But
mistake.
why isn't the party admitting that now? This is the first time that I'm hearing you saying that there is a mistake that has happened. Why isn't it that no one is accepting it?
No, I think party has accepted. I think people have asked Nalinda directly on the press conferences also. Right, so so now he has the inability to prove it. So obviously it has taken more time than it should. So I think he has to make a call on that part. But what I'm saying is this is not personally, I think based on his commitment and the political career.
Right.
I don't think this is enough thing to kind of ask him to leave the post. Right. So I think party will take actions based on his career and what responsibilities given based on the accountability of his. So when you lost that phase, it's a difficult decision. So I don't want to discuss too much about it, but there has been an issue on his personal integrity.
All right. Any questions, Shalan, Tiruni?
I had a small
Yeah,
question
we
for
can-
Nadeesha.
yes, yes.
Let's keep it a bit short since I think we are close to wrapping up. I noticed you say earlier that the SJB and UNP, as you call them, they are so-called right-wing parties. I wanted you to elaborate on that statement actually. Why do you say that they're so-called right-wing parties?
See, I'll just talk about Sajid Premadas. So so-called right-wing means if you are representing the right-wing, if you are representing the neoliberalism, if you are representing the open market economy, if you are representing the individualism, not the collectivism, in that case you should have your backbone to say that I am representing that, which JVP does. They have the ideology. I respect that. It's completely opposite to what I believe. But they do.
We put out a blueprint where we say social market economy.
See, this is the thing.
And
They had
The
a social piece in front of-
blueprint itself is a very neoliberal document which is prepared by Arshad Silva,
No.
Kabir Hashim and
I disagree that.
Iran. Okay, but while having the blueprint, Sajid Premadas is preaching something else.
Because he wants votes.
No.
Okay.
We've clearly
So-
said we are social market economy.
Sri Lankan politicians.
Yeah, very quickly, you can wrap up with this statement, Nadeesha. I'll give you 2 minutes of your closing remarks and add to what Fernando was talking about as well. We can just wrap up on our topic today on Sri Lanka's current political landscape.
Sri Lanka's current political landscape, in that case, like, we are in a losing situation. We all are in a losing situation. Now Sri Lanka needs alternative. NPP is running the government while they are experimenting the statism. But we are not in a position to experiment statism at this point. And at the same time, we don't find a proper opposition to the NPP government. So what exactly is needed right now is a proper right-wing political party, not a party. A party is not there right now, okay? That's why we are developing this political movement as an alternative to the current government, as a proper policy opponent to the government, which is exactly needed. You need a proper opponent because we believe that UNP and SJB clearly are not doing their job. They are not capable of opposing the policies and the narrative of the government. So that is needed to have a balanced country, to have a proper balanced state. That is needed. A country and the other thing, mainly, this is what we believe in. The state has to be governed by the rule, not by the rulers. So this is what we believe and this is what it has to be happened. So my thing is like, you are my policy opponent all the time, it will be, but I invite Lihini very soon to come and join us for the proper democracy and to do proper politics.
Very soon, let's invite Lihini.
Very soon,
Let's invite Lihini to be the proper national list representation of the SJB, being the only female at least.
If SJB exists, if SJB exists.
Mr. Gunasekara, your final thought.
Shamin, now listening to all this, to be very frank, I'm very happy because if I go back to both elections, I have had discussions with so many leaders of those parties, especially the representation of Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe and the representation of Honorable Sajid Premadas. Both those camps were very confident they were going to win the elections. Very confident. When I told the ex-minister at that time, for heaven's sake, calm down because you all are going to lose, he never believed me. I still feel they have not come to terms with the fact that they have lost all 3 elections. Both these parties have to come to terms with the fact that they have lost elections, and then the only thing available for them to do is to ensure that this country is taken forward. You can do your role. But support, because at every time, at every turn, members are saying, look here, originally, last year, somebody was saying, by June the government will fall. June this year. Then it became December. Now I hear
3 years.
Next May, it will go into fall. It's coming from a member of parliament, nah? Not anybody else. But listening to both sides, I'm very happy because the political face is changed completely now. And we are on the correct path. The landscape has changed, the culture has changed, and they have been responsible for that. So I'm extremely happy that things are moving good. That's why they're shouting so much. They realize that there's nothing that they can do because the NPP is becoming stronger and stronger by the day.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Rock.
You can ask a question.
No, I'm just...
You can ask a question.
No, I'm not going to ask questions. I want to say you're looking at Lihini and Nadeesha and saying...
No, I never said that. I said what transpired at this table.
No, but you're just saying wishful thinking it will never happen. 5 years they will go on.
10 years.
Right.
10 years they're going to go on.
Attorney at all, Lihini.
That even Chathuranga don't believe.
No, I say 20.
Lihini, I just have one question. I usually don't ask questions the last time, but I just want to ask you a question. Now, if you were with the SJB, I'm just trying to figure out. Now, Rai has been named as the mayoral candidate of the NPP to lead Colombo on 2nd of June. If it goes in favor of the NPP, she's going to be the mayor, and then she would be one of the youngest mayors that Colombo has ever seen. Do you think, Lihini, you would have ever been in that position with the SJB? Because I know you've been. You come on the show since 2015. I've not seen Rai being active until 2019. Do you think you would have ever got that opportunity?
Yeah, for sure.
To be the mayoral candidate of the SJB from Colombo?
See, the party has structures, the party has...
I'm just asking you a very simple question. I'm asking you, do you ever see yourself, ever, forget about this election, do you ever see yourself being the Colombo mayoral candidate of the SJB in the next 10 years?
See, the party has experienced, if you take right now, party has experienced
so you're saying
senior
Rai is
politicians.
not experienced?
No, let me answer. Party has experienced senior politicians with way more industry knowledge, with way more political knowledge. So the party, there's a way the party operates. So,
but aren't you even happy in a very conscious way that someone like Rai is going to be the next mayor of Colombo?
See, I'm happy for women. I'm happy for women representation. I'm very happy that women are coming forward. Though I'm not in this party, I'm very happy that an individual like Honorable Harini, as a woman, formidable woman, being a prime minister, women representation, I'm very happy. But it's not also just that; it's also about delivering. So I mean, as much as women get it, I mean, we are today we are very happy that 22 women are in parliament. But nextly, whether this women representation increases, it depends on how they deliver.
It should have been 23.
There has to be.
Not 22.
There has to be. They have to. It's not. As I said, this government. It's not about the talk. It's also to walk the talk. So I mean, I'm happy. Rai,
so you'll be one of the first people to congratulate her on Facebook, right?
Yeah, but I don't think.
Do it now itself.
See, no, we are quite confident that we are forming the CMC.
Right. Okay. So we'll.
So I told you, as I said at the beginning.
After 2 months, will I invite you and Chathuranga again?
Wait till the council day. Wait till that vote happens.
Second
is, but then
it's not possible.
After it's gazetted.
Chathuranga might call you and say, I said so.
Wait till the council day.
So many things have happened.
Yeah, wrap up.
So as I wanted to say, this is a government that talks, but they need to walk the talk. It is a government that came on rhetorics, but they also must build the nation. It's not about the government that talks about tomorrows, but I would say delivers nothing today. So NPP must stand by what they have said on campaign stages and deliver. But today we see a government, as opposition, we see a government that is failing primarily on national security. From the time they came, from 21st November to until date, there has been 79 shootings with 52 killings in Sri Lanka. So we've never seen a shooting happening inside a court premises. So they have questioned the national security, and also most of the promises they have stated on their campaign stages versus what is actually being delivered is a question. From what we spoke of the Auditor General's appointment to the Salt Corporation chairman, and also if you take in terms of achieving justice, I mean, they are yet to say what is happening with the Easter attacks, which is one of their core promises which they came about. And if you take the cost of living today, it is still high. And if you take, we have salt issues which we never had in this country. They said that the rice mill issue, Kapan Paharing, but no, they have failed to do that. I mean, if you talk about Indian agreements, so transparency, talk about policy, transparency, accountability, where are the Indian agreements, why are they hiding all that? And you forget about all that, you go in terms of what they say in parliament, it's also about putting out those lists about President's Fund and bar license to all that. They put out lists, but have they even instituted actions against all them? I mean, they came before, prior to elections, put out so many files. What is happening to administration of justice? So, NPP is yet to deliver on what they have said, but the saddest part is, I want to say, whatever they said about the veteran actress Marini Fonseca, how they brought her in parliament and questioned her using the President's Fund. I think, we as Sri Lankans, we as humans, we as individuals who respect the culture of this country, that is not a statement that any political party should have made. Whilst I understand policy, I mean policy and principles, these are also principles to respect individuals of that nature. So I mean, through NPP, we are not seeing that cultured governance, I would say.
I just want to stop you there, Lihini.
Yeah.
Let's not politicize the death of a
no, I don't. It's not. I'm not politicizing the death
actress,
of. No, I'm not.
Because we should not do that. Whatever.
We should not.
That is not the objective.
That is out of context.
It is not we who did that. It is they who did that.
No, but I don't want that to be.
It's a different issue.
It is not we who did that. It is they who did that.
Politicizing such a sensitive issue, because right now we're talking about her death.
Yeah,
we have to think about the
Sure.
families.
For sure.
So I respectfully ask you to not comment on that
right, but to correct you, it is not us who brought it,
but I'm
it
just
is
saying,
them
because
who
we
brought
have to
it.
respect that family, because they are under serious stress and all that. So let's not go into that.
All I want to say is this: NPP is yet to walk the talk. So they've been 7 months in government, but lost 2 million of the votes. But people have given them the mandate. So we are hopeful, we want to be hopeful, but we very much say that we, the opposition, will always question the government, and let's see what happens.
Just a very quick, are you going to be in the council for...
Yes, I will be in the council.
Mayor?
No, I will be the council, Shamir.
No mayor?
We will see.
No, but Lihini, you've been a strong supporter of the SJB for a long time, and it's just an expectation, thinking that you may get a post, but as you say, too much of democracy also sometimes don't.
We're an experienced party with a lot of experienced politicians.
And we've seen 2015, 2019 what you all did.
Very experienced politicians.
Okay, so Chathuranga.
It's equal, no? Morato?
Yeah.
Moreover, it's equal.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of debates about incidents and actions. I think when you do a proper strategy driving, there are certain things that will fall off, and we do admit that there can be mistakes. We will make statements which are not right, we will miss certain things, but what does it mean? Can we correct them and move forward? What this country needs now, this country needs a growth which is close to 5%. This country needs a 15% growth in exports. This country needs to create a 12 billion fund, that means reserve, by 2029. Right? That is the goal that we have. Now we have taken that responsibility upon us, and it's about the entire public coming, rallying around this government to fix that particular piece. Now the politics is over. When I say politics is over, 3 elections have done. NPP, neither JVP had anybody on the ground with power thus far. We did all this without having a single powerful position in a locality. Now we have 4,000 people. So if opposition still thinks they can pick words, if they can pick incidents on a weekly basis and create news and defeat us or even challenge us, that's a nightmare. Because they are not changing their philosophies, principles, governance and structure. Myself, Rai, Kaushi, Harshana, Harini, we were groomed by the party. We were not politicians before. We were given the opportunity, we came in, we were groomed. Now we are going to groom 4,000 of them. Now we are going to groom 4,000 of them. There's no chance going forward. So that is why I'm saying, rather picking things and making a huge noise, it doesn't matter because the economy is moving forward. IMF is working with us very strongly. FDIs have come, there's already 600 million FDIs have secured within these 6 months. There's inquiries for 1.2 billion. And there is 3 or 4 governments have signed up on various projects that money will come. On the SME sector, we just signed up with ADB for $300 million for the next 6 years, right? Things are happening, right? Maybe things are slow. Yes, we understand. The legal things are happening. Every week there is more than 5 people get charged, right? And 6 politicians, which you asked that whether it happened in 2015, 6 ministerial level politicians are behind bars. Not convicted, but their investigations are going. Things are happening. So people are understanding this, and especially the crowd that you said, the crowd that who voted for us because what we said, they are not cheated. They are in the dialogue because we are trying to achieve what we promised. It's a difficult task. We are in positions. We have a legacy bureaucracy. We have legacy policies. Each industry has been running on gazettes. There is no industry strategy. There is no tariff policy. There is no anti-dumping policy. We are bringing in digital technology. There has never been an opportunity or an initiative to digitize the government. We are doing it very strong. When you talk about professionals, not only us, Bank of Ceylon is run by senior professionals. Our digital strategy is run by 5 digitally experienced professionals. We have put people in the right place. The professionals who has no affiliation to NPP has been appointed because they have the capacity and the capability. So this government is giving opportunity to people who put their hand up.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be NPP or JVP. But my last question is for the people. It's a difficult change that we are going to do. It's going to take us 10, 20 years to change this country to where we want. The trajectory is what we are going to look at, and we hope that people will see the trajectory. There will be mistakes made. We'll correct them. Let's debate. Let's discuss on this table itself. Question us as much as possible. But for opposition, you need to understand, at the last fight, people will choose again a political party with integrity, discipline, structure and opportunity. And if these parties who are shouting does not want to change, that means that's the end of their political, there will be history in politics.
Right, thanks a lot. Chathuranga Abeysinghe. Chathuranga is the Deputy Minister in the current government as well. Attorney at Law Lihini Fernando representing the SJB. Kesarralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament, as well as Nadeesha Silva from the Dinana, Dakuna civic rights movement for joining us. Civic movement for joining us this evening on the show. I stand corrected as always. Thanks a lot, Nadeesha, for joining us this evening on the show as well. Thanks a lot. Shahan is also an attorney at law. Proud to have him on my right flank today.
The right-hand man.
Right-hand man today. And Theruni is also someone who is being benefited from the free education system in Sri Lanka. So education is key, Chathuranga, at the end of the day. So you all have to keep on pushing that envelope forward as much as possible for the betterment of the country. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do, but this time around it's coming from Julius Caesar. A message after a swift victory in battle. He said, I came, I saw, I conquered. Have the people really won? Think about it. Take care and good night.